Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Chris and Becky here with another episode of Hoping Mum and Dad podcast. It's a podcast that documents our IVF journey, and here we are, episode number 10. We've got a really cool guest on today, Alice Matthews from the Fertility Network UK. We're going to have a really cool conversation with her in just a moment, but before we jump into that, we'll just sort of pass you on to Becky and we'll have a bit of an update for us.
Okay, so yeah, we have had a little bit of a break. Last week we did not come on. The week before we
were on a break.
Yeah, we were just sat home watching Friends on the sofa. Yeah, we had a little bit of a week off. I think the week before we had a quick update with just us.
We felt like shit.
Yeah, we didn't feel too good.
And we also had to do a bit of traveling for family things and stuff like that. So I did pack stuff to get the podcast done, and we didn't. So
we did a quick update while we were there.
Oh yeah, we did.
But we just didn't do one for
the other week. Yeah.
Just gone.
So we had a little break, and for me, like, I think like, it's about consistency. So we're back to normal. Everything's fine. It's not something we're going to be doing all the time. Obviously, every now and again, something might happen. We might have to drop out. But generally speaking, we try and record stuff in advance. So that's an anomaly.
Anomaly.
Yeah. So that was a weird thing, a little blip. But generally, we're back to weekly episodes. Medical updates.
Yeah, like we said in our short update last time in episode 9, we have an appointment, a virtual appointment with gynecology to talk about Fuzz's DNA test. And
I have a gynecology appointment.
And unfortunately, when we got back, we found out we had a letter to postpone it again. So it's not until the middle of August. So we've still got to wait.
Just for results that they can tell us on the phone as well. That's what's so annoying.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
You have to book half an hour to sit down and...
Yeah. Grr. What can you do? But such is life, and we're used to waiting because we have been waiting for a long time. Yeah, at the beginning of the interview...
I think you got a bit too excited and you muddled your words a tiny bit. But
I was a bit glue mouth.
I found it hard not to laugh.
Yeah.
It's funny because you do it quite a lot. You get
do.
Quite excited.
I think my brain works faster than my mouth can.
Which is incredibly fast.
Yeah, I am quite famous for saying the wrong thing or saying stupid things.
Oh, like instead of a driver's seat, you'll say the driver's chair, which is just weird. Instead of like fence posts, you say fence sticks.
Just loads of random ones, you know.
It's funny, it's really creative. I'd have to sit down and think about how to say it differently. You just naturally go,
yeah,
I'm just going to jump in the driver's chair and pick up some fence sticks.
Everyone who knows me knows I do it all the time. I know the girls, my friends from uni who I lived with, always used to laugh at me. And there was one where I said chili chow mein instead of chili con carne. Well, yeah. In our house, chow mein would be spicy, so chili chow mein wouldn't be wrong. But
baby name.
Chili chow mein, the baby.
Yeah. It's different.
Yeah. So
cool.
We hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. And obviously, tiny little note, if you are appreciating what we're doing, you could always give us some tips or hints, or so let us know what type of guests you'd like us to get on, or specific guests. You can just let us know and we'll do our best to get them on.
Or if you want to share your story yourself, get in touch.
We want to speak to more people, and we want to talk about the good times and the bad times as well, because people, it's part and parcel. It's both sides of it.
Because at the moment we're really fortunate in that even though we're waiting, we haven't experienced loss, so that's a positive.
Yeah, so obviously we just want to connect with you all and get in touch. A few little things that you can do if you appreciate what we're doing. If you could give the Facebook page a like. We're not doing too much with it. We're going to post more on that. Find us on Instagram and wherever and YouTube as well. If you could just like and subscribe and share it with anyone else in the Trying to Conceive community, and let them know what we're doing, that'd be cool. But yeah, I hope you enjoy the interview with Alice Matthews. It was really, really insightful, and we will see you in the next one. I'm just going to pass you over to Becky now, who is going to take over.
Yeah. Hi, Alice. Thanks so much for coming on and talking to us.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
It's amazing to like have you on and talk to you a bit more about what Fertility Network UK. Oh, I can't speak. We've mentioned you before because it wasn't long ago. It was during lockdown that I actually kind of found like about the resources that Fertility Network UK has to offer, and I took part in a Zoom meeting with a bunch of people and a doctor from one of the private clinics at CRGW about egg quality. And I was like, from there, I've just kind of followed you on Facebook and Instagram and everything. So yeah, I don't know if you just want to tell us a bit more about what you do.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, the charity is called Fertility Network UK, and we're a national organisation. We work across the UK in all the regions, but obviously it's really important that there's somebody in each country because, as you probably know, access to an NHS-funded treatment and all the referral pathways and things like that are obviously very different in each place. So we're all over the UK, and the thing we're really about is providing impartial information that's up to date and accurate. And also what's very important is the support aspect, peer support, and both practical and emotional, ongoing, and help we can give people advice and encouragement, because we recognise the emotional impact of going through fertility investigations, tests, treatment, baby loss, positive, negative tests, and even, pregnancy after lots of trying can be extremely difficult. The emotional impact is massive. So we're here at every stage of the journey, whether we help those who are kind of considering their future fertility, we help those who are trying to conceive, and also those who are childless not by choice. So either treatment was not successful, or maybe somebody didn't want to go down the kind of the assisted reproductive technique route, and they are looking at a life that maybe they didn't imagine they'd have. So we're here for everybody affected in any way by a fertility issue. We've got loads of different things going on. One of our strongest support services we offer is our support line, and that is run by our former fertility nurse Diane, and that's a really busy service. People, if they've had appointments, whether that's kind of with their initial, they've initially gone to the GP and they're a bit confused, or maybe they're on a waiting list, or they've seen a consultant, they've had some tests, and they just want to run it past somebody else, maybe what a doctor or nurse has told them. Then Diane's a great person because she's a medical person, and you can speak to her as many times as you want just to kind of get it all clear in your head. So that's fantastic. And she's really busy, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
Then we have so many different support groups, which is one that you obviously tapped into, and one of our online groups. Prior to COVID, we ran loads of face-to-face meetings all over the UK. These were obviously postponed as soon as it was announced to be a pandemic by WHO, and we moved things online. So I'm responsible for Wales. I coordinate the service here. So everything was moved online, and I think that had a great positive outcome for so many, because so many people couldn't get to meetings after work, couldn't face sitting in the traffic. And they've been accessing the support when they wouldn't have before. So we've seen our numbers really go up, and a lot more people kind of joining the network to basically ask us to put them in touch with others, really. We really feel it's so important that people get peer support and talk to others who know exactly what they're going through. It's a common thing that we hear, anyone who's going through this, they can find it extremely hard to talk to other people, because unless you've been through it, it's really difficult to empathize. And it's so important that if you talk to others who really do understand, because then you feel like you're not on your own, because you're not on your own. It's 1 in 6 in the UK. So a lot of people are struggling to conceive or affected in some way by infertility. So yeah, that's basically what we do. It's all groups, information and support.
Yeah, it's amazing job that you do, because it's such a huge network. The fact that you cover the whole of the UK, and obviously it affects so many people. It's incredible work that you do. And I think it's really interesting that you say that the numbers went up during the pandemic. I think that probably is a two-way thing, isn't it? That obviously being online, the services were slightly more accessible to people, but also I think a lot of people have had more time on their hands to think and kind of feel a bit more, because obviously they're working from home and they don't have the usual distractions of their daily life. So people are feeling, well, lots of people, whether they're trying to conceive or not, have felt a bit strange. So that's probably affected it too.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think it's been hard for everybody, but I mean, we've been having lots of telephone calls and emails of people, and you know, it's really hard. Like you say, you've got this extra time, and also there's been a lot of focus on, you know, homeschooling and people with children and how stressful it is. And it is stressful. And you know, no one is arguing that, you know, children missing school is terrible for everybody. But for those people who haven't got a child, it's just another reminder, I think.
Yeah.
And, you know, working from home, usually when you go into an office space, you're kind of mostly away from children and it's not constantly in your face, apart from obviously pregnancy announcements and baby showers and all the usual thing. But I think at home, you know, being on Zoom calls and things, you see children running into the office space, yeah. You know, and you see photographs and things, and they're just little triggers, aren't they? You know, yeah. And some people will be totally fine, but other people, they'll see that stuff and it's just another kick in the teeth. And another reminder of what they desperately want. So I think it's really hard for people. It's been really tough.
Yeah. And obviously for so many people, treatment has paused or just stopped completely. And it's that unknown of when things are going to start again, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, talk about feeling out of control.
Yeah.
You know, I think with fertility investigations and treatment, you know, you're waiting for letters, you're on waiting lists, you're waiting for appointments, you're having scans, everything is in the hands of the medical team. So you already feel like you're not in control, you know, and it already feels so unfair that, you know, someone can have sex once and get pregnant, and then someone else who's having all this medical help, it just doesn't happen. And I think being with people's treatment being paused or cancelled, that loss of control has just been, well, quadrupled. Yeah. It's ridiculous. People feel so out of control. They feel like their life is on hold. And obviously we all get older every single day. So that's on people's minds, you know, worrying they haven't got the time to wait.
Yeah.
So yeah, huge amounts of anxiety, I think, by stuff like that, which is inevitable.
It's waiting on top of waiting on top of waiting.
Absolutely. And it's just another barrier, you know, every time somebody finds out from a test that there's another issue, or maybe they can't find the issue and it's unexplained, but every single barrier, this is just another one, but this is a massive one that makes you just have to wait. And it's been tough for people, for sure. They've had to dig deep into their resilience.
It's going back to what you said about being on Zoom and having those triggers of seeing people working from home and children kind of being a bit in your face sometimes. Obviously for some people that is triggering, and some people wouldn't think it was for them, but then it is. But I know you're also quite interested in how infertility and people going through these experiences, how their work life and the workplace can affect them. And how it can be kind of difficult for some people if their workplace isn't so understanding.
Is there any sort of basic tips or information we could give people that might feel like they're struggling, or, you know, having issues with, you know, feeling out of control or anxious or just really, really low at this current time? Like, is there any way we can point them over for some information perhaps, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think what's really important is that anyone who is going through this, whether they're struggling or not, some people will just cope and they'll be fine, well, and at this time. But I think even those people, it's really important that they have the information, they know what's available to them. So the more that people can tell their friends and family about free services that, such as what Fertility Network offer, that's obviously a good thing. And if anyone is struggling, they just need to reach out, to one of the team members in the organisation, wherever they live in the UK. We can link them up with other people who they can get that support from. And it might be that someone's just got a basic question, or it might be that someone is struggling in work, and they are feeling really isolated there. They're worried about telling their employer. They feel like it's going to affect their career prospects. I mean, most people, if they're thinking about having a baby, they don't go in and tell their boss when they're planning to conceive. They just don't do that. So it's really difficult for those who are going through treatment, because they don't want to do that either. And especially if that workplace environment doesn't make it an easy place to talk about that. And things like issues like confidentiality, and lack of knowledge with HR teams and managers makes it really difficult for people to talk. And it massively affects people's work. People take unpaid leave, they take holiday for treatment, they sometimes leave jobs entirely.
So
and that is negative for them, but also the employer. So yeah, they need to get in touch with Fertility Network UK. We can go in and work within their workplace and increase that knowledge with the HR teams and managers to make sure that there is a better understanding and a safer environment for people to talk about it.
Just to jump in there, you said that there was, there could potentially be problems with HR managers and things like that in organizations. That's something that I've never even considered or even thought about, because I'm self-employed. But so would you say that people generally sort of, is it polite to tell their managers and their bosses that they're thinking of getting IVF treatment? Or is it the kind of case, because I thought it would be the case where when you're finally set and you've got your treatment ready to go, then you go in and you say, by the way, this is happening. So can you explain like what you see with other people? Like, do they?
So basically, I think the main message we want to put out as an organisation is that as soon as you want a baby, you want that baby yesterday. You want to conceive, don't you? Because you take long enough to decide that's what you want to do, and then you don't ever imagine, unless you've got a diagnosis that you've had for a long time, you have no idea that it's not going to work for you, because we're told constantly as we're growing up, don't get pregnant. And so you don't even expect it. Now, I think if someone is trying, even if they are just trying naturally and they haven't even approached a health professional like their GP, they are still going to be struggling emotionally, because they're going to see their peers around them announcing pregnancies, maybe the second or third pregnancy, and that is going to be emotionally tough for somebody to deal with. So as an organisation, we would say that the workplace should be an environment where if you want to, you can say, listen, I'm really going through this. It's a mental health issue at the end of the day. And we need to be able to talk about that, because it has massive impacts on people's mental health. Infertility is classed by the World Health Organization as a disease, the disease of the reproductive system. So, the fact that people can't talk about their disease or their subfertility, there's something a little bit wrong with that for a start. Now, a lot of people would keep it private. They wouldn't want to talk about it at this stage. But yeah, absolutely. As soon as they're kind of on that referral pathway and they need to go for kind of gynae tests, or they need to go and see an andrologist, then there should be a safe and secure working environment for them to be able to talk about that. And they shouldn't be taking holiday or unpaid leave to go for these tests. And they certainly shouldn't be taking holiday or unpaid leave to go to have kind of scans and have egg collections or surgical sperm retrievals or, anything like that. They should be getting taking proper sick leave for that. And like you would with any other disease or illness or condition. So it's really important that people feel secure to talk about that issue, and also feel secure, when someone's bringing in their new baby to meet their colleagues, you should be able to politely excuse yourself and say, listen, I'm going to shoot off for half an hour because I don't need to see this and be around it, and that should be fine, and we should be able to say that sort of thing. Because otherwise it just grinds you down. And how are you supposed to be kind of productive and amazing at your job if you're feeling constantly on the edge and upset? So I think there's lots of stages to consider, but the first thing that needs to come is understanding. If you dare to have that conversation with a colleague or with a manager, you firstly need to know that it's going to be kept quiet if you want it to be, that there's confidentiality. And you also need to know that you're going to be met with understanding, and also that you're not going to be penalised. That should be a given.
Yeah. Am I right, Alice, in thinking that fertility treatment at the moment is considered or classed as elective surgery still, or elective treatment?
Yes. Yeah.
It's shocking, isn't it? Considering, like you said, it's a disease, however you're affected.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, and the people who are going through it, it's treatment for a disease that they have. Yeah, it is shocking. Yeah, absolutely, it is.
I think the other thing that's going to affect quite a few people having treatment at the moment too is both NHS and private clinics are recommending, I think, in some places to self-isolate due to the pandemic while they're having treatment, and obviously that could be tricky for some people in the workplace too. Another thing to consider. Absolutely.
It's really hard. I mean, currently no one is protected by law for going through fertility investigations and treatment. The only protection that somebody's got is if you're a woman and you are having embryos put back in, from the day of that embryo transfer, you are protected under Pregnancy and Maternity Rights of the Equality Act 2010. So you're protected legally from the day of your transfer until, if you're positive, if you have a positive pregnancy test, it goes right through your pregnancy and maternity. But if it's a negative pregnancy test and that round of treatment has been unsuccessful, you're still protected for a further 2 weeks after that failed that negative test, basically. So people need to be aware of that, but that isn't enough protection because it's only for a very short time. Other than that, there is no legal requirement for an employer to do anything, really.
It's good to know that people, hopefully people listening will find out that if they do get that negative test following treatment, that they are protected for that 2 weeks. But like you say, it's 2 weeks is not a lot of time to kind of process what you've been through or grieve, because essentially you've lost. It's baby loss and miscarriage. And I think other circumstances the same around, like you said, people who are trying to conceive who aren't having fertility treatment and are still struggling because it's taking a long time, or just because it's hard, every month having that hope, the build-up of hope, and then the failure if you're not successful that month. If people are conceiving naturally and then they go on to have miscarriage or baby loss, what kind of fallbacks do they have at work if that happens, sadly?
Nothing. That's the problem. I think, I speak to so many couples who, where the female partner has had a miscarriage, and she's literally just carried on. She's been bleeding in the morning and she's had to go to work, and she's felt not able to talk about it. And feels like, that she has to just literally put on a face and carry on. And the same for if there's a male partner in that relationship, that you've got to carry on and not even feel like they can talk about it. So no, there is no protection. And what is really important is when we're going in, Fertility Network UK going in and doing some work in the workplace, it's really important that people are aware that a negative pregnancy test after treatment is a loss. And like you just said, that is a loss. And, there is no kind of competition on who can feel sadder for what's worse and how many weeks you've been pregnant or not. A loss is a loss, and the grieving process is just as profound and important for anybody. And everybody is different and everyone reacts differently. So I think that's really important as well, is that to get across that message that if you're going through this and you are unsuccessful or you lose a baby at any stage, you come crashing down and you just feel well, not everybody, but one can feel completely ruined and flawed. And there's got to be a better understanding about that.
I think that's where you're so right in saying the peer support is so important, because that's something that unless you've been through it, you don't really know. You can't empathize.
Yeah, and dealing with something so, you know, psychologically like hurtful is something that, you know, a lot of people are going to need, you know, counseling or to seek some professional help about. And there's nothing wrong with that as well. I hate this sort of attitude that we seem to have in the country, or in society in general at the moment, where mental health is sometimes seen as a weakness, you know. So it's definitely a strong move to reach out, to sort of talk to peers, like you said. You know, like if you think about it, some of the best programs in the world, most, you know, for all types of psychological stuff, revolve around peers. It's not just about going to see like a doctor. It's about, you know, processing it all with people that have been through the same thing. So I think that's really been really insightful today, especially the I'm really interested in the lack of protection for couples going through treatment and stuff like that. Like, I work for myself, so I don't really think about all this kind of stuff, but to think that people would feel so pressured that they have to go into work while they're going through a miscarriage is horrifying. To think that people, to even, not that it happens, but even to think that, you know, people might feel uncomfortable talking about it is, you know, not good. So maybe we should try and you know, reach out and get some people who might have been through that, so they can maybe sort of share some tips and advice. Maybe, I don't know, you know, Alice, if you know anyone, or you know, speak to anyone that is comfortable sharing about their story with that, and kind of trying to raise some awareness to it, we'd love to have them on. But it's been amazing to get you on. We will get you on again if you're keen to come on again in a bit.
Yeah, no problem at all.
And we will drop lots of links and information to all the places where people can find Fertility Network UK and all the good stuff they do. But is there anything you wanted to sort of specifically, or kind of like highlight, or send people over to? Is there a Facebook group or?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a few bits and bobs. I mean, the main place to go would be our website, fertilitynetworkuk.org. And then you can kind of look up your groups. We've got our kind of online Facebook groups, which are closed. Something that's kind of we want to do a lot of work on is with men. You know, we noticed that I would say the majority of people who contact the Wales service are women. They may be single women going through, or in same-sex relationships, but the majority of heterosexual couples, I would say the women contact us, and that we hear through those people that their male partners are struggling, and they just find it a bit harder to maybe talk to their peers or get support in the workplace. So it's really important that men can kind of access that support. You know, up to 50% of fertility issues are male factor, and yet the way that men are sometimes a bit sidelined in appointments, they might be kind of a bit overlooked and ignored. It's not a case of just whether your sperm is okay or not. You know, there can be lots going on with sperm, and it's, like I say, up to 50% is male factor, and the emotional impact, I think, is massively overlooked with men. So we do have we've launched men only groups and meetings, so men can get together and actually talk without their female partner there chipping in, because women do love to have a good chat, don't we? So I think it's a good place for men to actually just say what they want, and actually, you know, we hear so
just to
much
complain about their wives.
Yes, no, but men feel like they've got to be the rock. They can't be upset or angry, because they've got to be there for her, and she's going through all the invasive things, so they feel like they can't be sad or angry or upset or jealous or whatever other the emotions that come with this. And they've just got to be kind of fine. And that's not the case. And it's not good to bottle things up. It's good to talk and protect your mental health. So men really need to kind of, if they are struggling, they have to kind of reach out and don't feel bad about talking about it. And, you know, without women there, they can say what they want without risk of upsetting their female partner.
Or if you're brave like me, you just say it whenever she's around.
Yeah, or you just say it.
I got a helmet ready for that.
And hope that I don't chip in or interrupt you. Sorry.
No, it's weird. It is weird that the male side of things, because I've casually dropped in. I don't know if it's something that like you're meant to sort of announce or if it's something you can drop in, but I have kind of, well, the podcast makes it quite obvious, but I have sort of mentioned to people when they ask, oh, how you been? What's going on? Blah, and I say, oh, things are good. We're getting closer to our IVF date. And then a lot of people will say, they'll be like really surprised that I've mentioned it. And they'll be like, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what the rules are. Do I casually drop it in? Do I make a thing about it? Or,
I think the point is you've got to do what you need to do. The problem is, I think, in society is, we kind of have, we always kind of have these expectations of men, and what it is to be masculine, and you shouldn't cry and talk about your feelings and show that you're upset, and we put all this pressure on our young men, and it's no wonder then that maybe men find it a bit harder to say how they feel. So it's just a product of our own society, isn't it? But I think we've got to encourage people to, mental health has come along a long way. People talk about it more and they're more open. And I think fertility is just one of those things. We need to talk about it more. Infertility does seem to be rising globally. It's a big issue. We have to talk about it. And people who are not going through it and don't understand, maybe, it's the job of organisations like Fertility Network UK to make them aware as well, because quite often our peers, our friends and family, and they don't know what to say, and they actually don't.
Yeah, they say congratulations to me. They're like, oh, congratulations. Yeah. I'm like, nothing's happened. Like,
also, why are you congratulating me for having treatment? Like, if someone told you you were having heart surgery, they wouldn't say congratulations.
No, they wouldn't. You're right.
Their intention's good, though. I'm not.
Yeah. It is all good intentions, and that's a hot topic, isn't it, within the trying to conceive community?
Wow, it really is. And we are constantly being told by people who use our services, the stupid things that people have said to me, the upsetting things. Well, we need to educate people about what it's really like. There's huge misconceptions out there. We see in the media kind of older celebrities just getting pregnant like that on one round of treatment, and that is it's misguiding people. They think they congratulate you because they think it's just going to work that first time.
It's like taking a
fake
pill.
News.
Yeah. So we've got a long way to go, but things are getting better. People are talking about it more. But yeah, we've got lots and lots of work to do. We kind of, and that's why I'd say again, to your listeners, if anyone is struggling, reach out, come to Fertility Network UK. If you're struggling in work and you feel like your workplace could do with a bit of information and just a few improvements here and there, then again, get in touch with us. You can put my email address up, alice@fertilitynetworkuk.org. People can get in touch with me and we can sort something out.
Amazing. Well, yeah, thanks a lot for coming on, and we will definitely catch up with you in the future. It's always good to have someone that knows lots of stuff, rather than just two of us clueless people just talking about how annoying it is waiting. Yeah, amazing. So yeah, thanks again, and we'll catch you soon.
Thanks so much, Alice.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
So we've just had a lovely chat with Alice Matthews from Fertility Network UK. I hope you all enjoyed listening to it, because I found it really insightful and learned quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff in there that I didn't really know about because I'm a self-employed person. But it was interesting, all the stuff about work and HR and how people... Because I just assume people would be understanding, supportive, and think, oh, this is a really shit thing to be going through. Like losing a family member.
Yeah.
Because potentially a failed cycle is that.
Yeah.
So, but people don't treat it like that.
I think people don't hold it. I think the common...
It's almost like desensitized because there's science involved in it.
Yeah.
It's almost like, people think test tube babies and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, well, that didn't work. You just get another kit. And
they say, oh, you can just try again. But it's not always that simple.
Imagine saying that. Like, they would never say that to someone who's lost a child. If you had a miscarriage...
Sometimes people do, and that's what...
Oh, well, try again.
Yeah. it's sometimes people say, well, at least you know you can get pregnant, and I think that's
but
really sad. No,
you
exactly.
don't know you can carry the baby.
It's awfully sad. So it was really insightful, and also explained a lot, because I think I've mentioned to you before, there's quite a few people in the community that I know that don't work anymore, and that might be why, because it's kind of stressful, it's a lot to go through, and maybe they weren't getting the support that they deserved or needed from the workplace.
Depending on what type of workplace you live in, work in, you could, I think, like Alice mentioned as well, like it can be quite insensitive for someone who can't conceive or has been through a few miscarriages to have baby showers and pregnancy announcements and stuff, to be sort of be around that, which is tricky, because I mean, like, everyone, you can't, like, I'm kind of the belief that, like, if people are going to get like sensitive and triggered by things and stuff like that, I got like things that set me off with whatever, but you can't police that. So it's a fine line. I think it's about being aware. It's about I mean, if in these workplaces and stuff like that, if HR know about it, they can potentially foresee any issues popping up and stuff.
Yeah,
because like when we get pregnant, I am gonna want to tell everyone to make a big deal about it.
Yeah, I think that's the other notion as well.
It's about being sensitive, isn't it? And like,
traditionally as well, lots of traditionally, or in days yonder, people would not have announced that they were pregnant until 12 weeks because of the...
That's the deal now, though. I wouldn't... Yes, I mean, I wouldn't...
It's not the deal now, but it's not the deal now. There's no right or wrong way to do it, but some people do wait, because there's always that risk that people might lose, and that's what's really sad. But I think I would tell them as soon as possible. Maybe not everyone, but if you don't tell people, then you're not going to have that support. So for me, I think if we do get pregnant, then I will be telling our close family members and friends, because
before 12 weeks.
Yeah, because if I do have a miscarriage and I feel like shit, I'm not going to be like,
we'll get Sheila on that M5.
Or it could be
ASAP.
awfully traumatic. Some miscarriages aren't. Some are silent miscarriages, and some are hugely traumatic. You could be in work and then start bleeding, and it might not be. It might not be liked.
Like
it might not be.
Like Alice mentioned, there are women that are going to work during having a miscarriage because they feel like they can't do anything.
And it might happen whilst you're at work. Like, I know as well, coming back to the triggering thing, as a teacher, I'm surrounded by children all the time. So it doesn't necessarily affect me. Like, I think sometimes I do get a bit sad, but I think I'm a bit desensitized to it.
Yeah. It's kind of like you've had to.
Yeah.
But some people might not be able to cope with that.
Yeah. And sometimes you feel fine, and some days, like, or weeks, it hits you and you're just like, ugh.
Yeah. And obviously we've got a podcast and people probably know about it from school, so it's all quite
we're
open.
We're very open about it, and everyone knows.
I don't like I wouldn't judge anyone for wanting to keep a secret, but for me personally, I feel like I'm keeping a secret and I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's just a weird, it's my hang up, because everyone's got the right to just like not say stuff, but I'm so open and honest that like it would bug me.
I think we're fortunate in a way, really, because technically we're millennials, aren't we?
I think you're going to say technically we're benevolent.
No.
And I was like,
technically
what
we're
does that even mean?
Millennials, so we're quite fortunate in that we've grown up while lots of these changes are happening, where people start to talk more about how they feel and it's more socially accepted. So we are quite open about it, because it's not a taboo. I know it still is.
Do you talk to your mum about it quite a bit? S-Dog, Sheila.
I don't talk to her about it all the time, but if I wanted to, I would. I think I
would worry that your mum would worry about saying the wrong thing, like it would stress her out.
No. I think my mum definitely internalizes a lot of stuff. She'll be listening, so hi, mum. But she wouldn't necessarily talk about it. She'd think about it and worry about it. But she would talk to me. I know, I think it was last year during what Alice was talking about there, the infertility or trying to conceive awareness week during November. Mum was listening to a lot of the interviews on the radio and
very
podcasts.
Helpful like that.
Yeah, and
she'll always like text you when like things pop up. And
but I remember we were in the living room and she was listening to something and she was just crying silently in the corner, and I was like, "Oh, Mum, what's wrong?" She was like, "It's just so hard. It's just a lot for you to go through." So you know, we've got that support, and it's really lovely. So it is there.
Yeah. So and this is our wrap up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we it's been a bit of a jumble. Like we missed a week or two due to unforeseen circumstances, travel, a few other things. So generally, like I'm a big believer in just being consistent. So we're back to normal as of now. We're doing one a week. If we haven't got anything particularly exciting around, we'll just be goofing around and talking about other things.
Our specialty.
But I mean, yeah, for me, I'm a massive fan of podcasts and YouTube channels and stuff. So I think it's important to have a bit of consistency. So we are back, and we're gonna be back doing an episode weekly.
Back with a vengeance.
But for our sort of medical updates and things like that, fingers crossed that we get our. I don't know, we just get something happening, because it keeps getting pushed back, like we said in our introduction earlier.
Yeah, we won't have news next week about our appointment, because it's not until the middle of August.
But we might have a cool guest.
We definitely have a cool guest. It's one of my good friends.
Oh, yeah.
Sarah, yeah.
Cool.
So we'll be recording that this week, ready for you next week, which is exciting, and I can't wait for you to hear.
Amazing. So yeah, we'll catch you in the next one.